One of my favorite quotes is, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn," by Benjamin Franklin. I feel this is true for everyone. Today we will teach you our procedures, and your warehouse manager will involve you with hands-on training. We will have several training sessions with you that cover basic warehouse safety and distributor product quality assurance training, better known as DPQA. Let's get started by explaining DPQA to you. Allied Oil and Tire Company is a Shell lubricant distributor, and we are certified by Shell's Distributor Product Quality Assurance Program, DPQA. Shell Lubricants' DPQA program is the industry's most stringent national inspection for handling and packaging of bulk lubricants. This program ensures that our processes, sampling, facilities, records, environmental procedures, and total lubricant handling meet the strict standards for Shell Oil Company. In addition, we have an in-house auditing program to ensure superior quality and integrity across all our lubricant products and brands. We must have a chain of custody on our products from the manufacturer, Shell for example, to the final delivery point. Chain of custody means that we have a paper trail or proper documentation for each phase or each time we handle the product. When we follow the DPQA program as outlined, we have a chain of custody. We have many standards relative to DPQA. Today we will cover samples and inspection standards. All procedures are posted at your branch and can be reviewed at any time. I encourage you to keep the procedure with you to reference during your hands-on training.
You will hear the terms commingle and product integrity throughout training and while working with us at Allied Oil and Tire Company. A commingle means that we have mixed two lubricants together that should not have been blended. Commingles are never good, and it is critical that you report errors to your supervisor immediately. We do understand that mistakes occur, so please do not try to hide or cover up a mistake. Let's simply fix it and do what's right by Allied, our vendors, and our customers. Your supervisor, along with district operations manager and perhaps others, will complete a quality incident investigation procedure once an incident has been identified. A few examples of incidents that can occur include commingles, mislabeled containers, incorrect seals, and wrong product shipped or spills. Standard number 1 provides a detailed layout on the steps to follow during investigations such as a commingle investigation. You may think this is overkill or a lot of work to complete for two products that are mixed. Always remember that it is important to understand that vehicle engines, manufacturing plant machinery, or even rail car engines can be impacted if the wrong lubricant is utilized. Our goal is to make sure that our customers' equipment is not jeopardized and that we maintain our company's integrity.
Documentation is critical to maintaining a chain of custody. If we do not document, we're not able to trace product quality. Each step of the processes we follow requires documentation.
We inspect products several times throughout our procedures to ensure product being received and or shipped is quality product. We will begin explaining the what, why, and how information relative to inspections next. Standard number 2, water by crackle, is often called the crackle test. The crackle test is used to determine if oil is water-free, has water present, or has air entrapment.
This is Mark Sabian Carter from our Wichita, Kansas branch. Today, Mark Sabian is going to demonstrate the proper way to do a water crackle test. Mark Sabian has brought the electric skillet in, which is clean. There's no debris or old oil into the electric skillet. And Mark Sabian has his oil sample ready to go. And of course, he has on his PPE, which is
for this, gloves and safety glasses. And he also has the fire extinguisher handy and ready to go. So step one is to put approximately 1 teaspoon of oil into a cool, not heated electric skillet. Good job. Now Mark Sabian will turn the electric skillet to 212 degrees. What you're looking for while this skillet is heating up, if there is water present, you will hear the sound of crackling, such as the sound of bacon frying. There will be no crackling sounds if moisture is not present. How does it sound, Mark Sabian?
All is well.
All is good.
We perform a crackle test on products in our tanks at a minimum of once a year. You will also use a crackle test if a product looks cloudy. As a reminder, always wear PPE. The crackle test requires safety glasses and gloves. You should only perform the crackle test in a well-ventilated area, away from flammables, and you will need to have a fire extinguisher close by. Next, you will need to document the tank crackle test on form number 18. The electronic form shows your tank number, tank location, and product name. On this example, tank number 2 is located in the Omaha Inside Tank Farm, and the product is Rotella T3 1540. You will document your initials on the form after the crackle test has been completed and no water or moisture was found. If you do hear a crackle or determine that the product does indeed have water present, you would mark with an X. Remember, if you do find that water is present, management must be notified immediately. The tank will be locked out until a product investigation is completed.
Another product inspection we complete is the visual inspection test. This inspection is used more than all other inspections we complete. A few examples of when you complete visual inspections are receiving a bulk load of oil and when you are repackaging products from our bulk tanks to totes, drums, and pails. As time goes on and the more familiar you become with lubricants, you will easily identify distinct differences with products. The visual inspection is simple to complete.
Okay, and now the proper way to complete a visual inspection test. You want to collect a sample in a clear plastic bottle. So the sample that Mark Sabian is pulling today is for a tote of Quaker State Advanced Durability 530 that is going to be loaded on a truck and go out for delivery tomorrow. Okay. Now that Mark Sabian has the retained sample pulled and he is securing the tote back up so we don't have an oil spill. Good job, Mark. Now Mark Sabian is going to take the sample he just pulled versus the reference sample. The reference sample could be the last bulk receiving sample or a sample previously used. And remember, reference samples need to be changed out every 6 months at a minimum and should be stored away from UV light. So Mark Sabian is going to observe the color of the lubricant. It should match the reference sample. And he's doing this by holding the sample up to a bright light and visually examining the sample at an arm's length. So Mark Sabian is looking for the following. He is looking for water, free water in the sample, any kind of sediment, a hazy appearance, particles, any kind of suspended matter, or any other unusual characteristic. So how does that sample look?
All is well.
All is well. Okay. So can you show us using a non-Quaker State Advanced Durability 530 product, such as maybe this one here,
Right.
what would the differences be?
Well, if we put it up to the light, we can see one is darker than the other one.
So if you saw something darker, that would be a red flag for you to go
Right.
report to your supervisor?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Now, you can also tell the difference by the thickness. As this one it don't move as quickly as this one does.
Okay. Okay.
Just other ways to look at it.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So here is another example of a sample pulled, and we know we went right to the other spectrum, I guess. This is, what is this oil? This is just waste oil, but you can tell by looking at it that it's very thick. It has floaties present. You can see you can see the particulates in it. But if you ever see anything like this, this is definitely a sign to report it to your supervisor immediately.
Several of our forms require visual inspection documentation. As we are providing detailed information on how to complete certain procedures, we will show you the exact form to use. The forms will require you to document a pass or fail on the visual. The vis gauge is used to verify oil viscosity and perform oil analysis. We can obtain immediate results versus sending a sample of product to a lab. A few examples of when you will use the vis gauge are when the visual sample doesn't look right, or perhaps you notice an odor that is unusual. You will use the vis gauge on all Shell branded industrial lubricants such as Tellus S2, M68 each time we touch the product. Let's watch the training video provided by the manufacturer.
First, purge the plunger tube to clean it, as residual oil from previous testings may contaminate your results. To purge the plunger tube, simply draw in a small amount of oil, then flush it out. Next, fill the plunger tube with oil, making sure to flush all air out of the sample. As you fill the tube, pull the plunger rod just past the zero so that the balls will line up. Let the vis gauge sit until oil temperatures have equalized. Since viscosity changes with temperature, the reference oil and the oil you are testing need to be the same temperature. To run the test, line the balls up with zero. Hold the ends of the scale and quickly bring the instrument to a 40-degree angle, then return to level so that the leading ball stops at the leftmost line. The oil's viscosity can be read from the scale where the slower ball has stopped.
Once viscosity is obtained, you will document the results on form number 7. You will simply document the date, product, results, your name as the tester, and any comments. Kenny at our Kansas City location completed these tests. You notice the product tested was AW46 and the viscosity result was a 46.48. This is a passing result.
Taking samples is one of the most important aspects of DPQA and your position. We take oil samples when bulk tank loads arrive at the branches, when we repackage products from bulk to packaged goods, fill our own bulk tankers or bumblebees, transferring bulk product to other locations, and prior to dispatching bulk oil to our customers. Something for you to ponder, as I'm certain you are asking yourself why we need all these samples. Think about you taking your personal vehicle to a shop to get the oil changed. A few days later, or maybe even longer, your engine starts smoking. You take your vehicle back to the same shop and ask them what caused it to smoke after you just had an oil change. The shop is most likely going to give us a call and ask for our assistance with oil traceability. At this point, we would go back to our oil retained samples to confirm the correct oil was received by Allied originally, and then follow the steps for repackaging, etc. We retain all oil samples for 1 year. Let's dig into the details of the standard number 10, taking samples bulk receiving. The equipment you will need for taking samples is safety glasses or goggles, gloves, transparent 4-ounce sample bottles. Always keep sample bottles sealed except when the sample is being taken. Labels for the sample bottles, a marking pen, and tools for opening the valves as needed. To pull a sample from a bulk tanker, you will need to open the belly or safety valve on the trailer slowly and carefully for approximately 10 seconds, then close the valve. This will charge your line. Open the valve partially and drain approximately 1 gallon of oil into the flush container. This will purge the valve and the line. Keep the valve open slightly and fill the 4-ounce sample bottle, then close the valve. Put the lid on the sample container and conduct a visual inspection test. Compare sample to reference sample for color, clarity, and overall variances. If the product is still hazy or milky, or the viscosity seems off, or if the product does not appear normal, drain additional product from the line and resample the product. Repeat as necessary. If the sample still appears cloudy or hazy, run a crackle test. If the viscosity seems off, run a viscosity test using a vis gauge. If 10 gallons of product is purged and the sample still appears abnormal, notify your supervisor and or the district's operations manager. If the sample does come out normal, get a new sample bottle and catch the sample that will be kept for this compartment. Label the sample using an Allied approved sample label. The information on the sample label must be recorded into the bulk lubricants receiving log. Put the retained sample in the proper place in the retained cabinet. Return all equipment to the proper locations and proceed with the unloading as per your bulk receiving procedures. All flush oil must be documented on the bulk lubricants receiving log.
We also take samples when filling containers. Let's cover tote filling samples first.
Today we're going to be taking a sample. We just filled this tote, Cat 30, for make sure there's any contaminants, or make sure there's not any contaminants or any water or moisture. Filling out the label, you'll put the date, which will be the 30th. We took the sample. You also want to put the product, which would be Cat SE 30. You also want to put the batch label, which would be on the other side, be on the side here of the current batch label. Once you have the label filled out, pull the cap off the bottle. Put this cap back on the spout. And you want to visually look for any color differences, any contaminants, moisture, and if you're filling totes, If you're filling more than one tote, you want to take a sample from the first tote before you fill the others.
Thank you, Jordan. All branches have the batch code identified on totes. Jordan pointed to the upper right-hand corner during this video to show the location of the batch number. Your branch may not put the batch number in this exact location. Some branches have the batch number on the label itself, and some have the batch number on a tag that shows the tote and batch number in one location. Your supervisor will show you the location of batch codes on containers during your hands-on training. A few items to remember when you are filling totes. If the totes are product dedicated, you are permitted to take retained samples from the first and last tote filled versus taking a sample from each tote you fill with product. A product dedicated tote means that one specific product will always be loaded into the tote. If the totes are product group dedicated, then you must take a retained sample from every tote filled. Product group dedicated tote means that totes are identified as passenger car motor oil, PCMO, or heavy duty motor oil, HDMO, or perhaps antifreeze or industrial lubricants, not a specific product. Once you have determined the type of totes, product dedicated or product group dedicated, you can proceed with obtaining samples.
For drum and keg filling retained samples, you will pull the first sample directly from the nozzle after sufficient draining or flushing. All other steps to pulling samples are the same as we previously covered. For pail retained samples, if you are filling pails from a tote, pull the retained sample from the tote. If you are filling pails from a bulk tank, pull the retained sample from the fill nozzle after enough draining or flushing has occurred. Documentation for all will occur on the scale batch filling log.
Let's cover tote inspections. All totes must be thoroughly inspected inside and outside immediately prior to filling with product. This inspection is one of the key elements in maintaining product quality. Let's listen to Jordan as he walks us through a tote inspection.
This is how to do an inspection on a tote to make sure it's clean and ready for product. First step, you look at the overall condition of the tote. You look at the cage, make sure it's not dented or damaged. Is it in good condition? You look at the outer condition of the tote. You're checking for any cracks or damage. Then you want to look at the base of the tote, make sure it is not damaged. You also want to look at the labels, make sure the labels are what your product is going to be in there. If not, then you need to make sure that all the labels are taken off so it is ready for another product. You want to check the spout, which is also you want to make sure it is closed, has a cap on it, make sure it is tight. So you want to look at the overall condition, make sure it is in good shape. Then you want to look at the top of the tote, make sure it is clean. Any paint or rust that's on top of these, you need to make sure it's clean before you put any product. You want to make sure it is ready for inspection of the inside. When you do that, you also want to look at the cap, make sure it's in good shape, not damaged or cracked. Then you also want to look at the inside. Use a mirror with a light. Check for any damage up on the exterior or interior. You're also looking for any kind of debris such as metal shavings, dirt, dust particles, any moisture. You want to make sure they get that cleaned out first. You want to look at the top of the tote, make sure it is in good shape. And you also want to make sure it is, after that, the tote is in good shape overall and it is ready for clean and product fill.
Most totes that we fill are kept in the same product group, PCMO to PCMO or HDMO to HDMO, for example. If we do need to fill a tote that is not in the same product group, the tote must be cleaned or flushed and re-inspected prior to fill. Tote inspections must be documented on the electronic tote filling inspection report. You will document the date you inspect, the tote number, if the tote passed inspection, so pass or fail, your name or initials, and any comments. If a tote is rejected, you should document why it was rejected.
Totes that are used by a customer and are brought to your bulk plant to be refilled should have any remaining heel drained. The tote should be inspected, cleaned, and flushed prior to being refilled. This is necessary to ensure that any contamination that may have occurred at the customer's location is removed. Steps to clean a tote. First, prop the tote up like the picture here. The spout should be upwards to avoid product settling in the nozzle. Let the tote sit for a few minutes so the product will drain from the sides of the tote to the bottom of the tote. Use the shop vac to remove product from the tote. The shop vac will remove most of the product. Once you've completed using the shop vac, look inside the tote. If you see debris or particles present, attach a lint-free absorbent pad to a handle. In this case, the pad is attached to a mop handle with a clamp. Once the absorbent pad is secure, safely saturate with solvent. You will now be able to wipe out or scrub the bottom and partial side of the tote. If debris gathers after wiping, use the shop vac to remove. If these steps do not properly clean the tote, our next step would be to use a pump type sprayer, like the sprayer shown here, filled with a neutral base oil such as Neutral 100 or Neutral 150. Your branch will have this in inventory. Fill the sprayer with the neutral base oil. Spray the sides and bottom of the tote. Repeat the shop vac process until the tote is clean. Totes returning from a trip where the tote never left control of an Allied employee and where the tote will stay in the same product group only requires an inspection rather than a cleaning. Documentation is required as previously discussed. An item to remember that totes filled or previously filled with ATF should only be used for ATF. Even after cleaning a tote, ATF dye is present and can discolor engine oils. As previously mentioned, all containers must be thoroughly inspected inside and outside immediately prior to filling with products. Let's watch a short video of the proper way to inspect drums prior to filling.
Alright, so today I'm going to be teaching you how to inspect this drum for quality and for standards outlined in the DPQA manual, okay? This here form is what you'll use to fill out while you're doing your inspection, okay? And it is actually, if you can see as I'm going through this, you'll see that all of this also mirrors what we're going to be going over in this video, okay? So, first of all new reconditioned drums have to be inspected before they're filled, okay? And then we fill out the document on this form. Alright, so the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be looking at the outside of the drum. You're going to be looking for overall quality, okay? You want to make sure there's no dents, big dents, holes, anything like that. You're going to have to check the bottom of the drum too, because that has happened before. We filled drums and found out there's a hole in the bottom. So you need to check the bottom of the drum as well. Okay. Other things you're looking for, as you can see, the paint quality. You want to make sure you're wanting the right color of drum for the product you're going to be doing. The evenness of the edges of the paint. Make sure there's no run, no flaking or loose paint. And then, like I said, the pink color. You want to check the barrel for any old labels. Make sure there's none on there. All of our drums usually come back reconditioned, so there's usually no labels on it. It's just not to check. You got to make sure that they're metal and not plastic drums, okay? Which we do have a metal drum here. We have to make sure that it's a non-coordinated drum, okay? And then, as I said before, no excessive dings or dents, no severe dents in the chimes, no rolling hoop creases. So I think we've got a decent drum here. As the internal as far as the inspection goes, you're going to have to take the lug out of there. Using your light and your mirror, you're going to be looking in there and make sure there's no rust inside the barrel, no water, no foreign materials, You got to make sure, that's why you got your mirror. You have to check the top of the drum to make sure that the top has nothing on it or in it. You're making sure that there's no liner inside the drum. And it's getting clean inside, including underneath the top side. And then you also want to make sure that any gaskets that we may use are new and not the prior used gasket. Okay. And from there, if it doesn't meet the Shell standard, the Allied standard, we're going to reject it. We'll also comment that on this sheet as well. Okay. Once you've done your inspection, you've got your paperwork filled out, then the drum's ready to be filled.
Thank you, Will and Roger. So to recap, check the overall quality of the drum for paint quality and that brand colors match. Make sure old labels are removed, no corrugated drums permitted, that there is no excessive dings or dents present, and that there's no internal rust, water, or foreign materials. And always check the gasket condition as well. All drum inspections must be documented. Here is an example of how the folks at our Kansas City branch document inspections. Keg inspections are identical to drum inspections.
Every PEL must be inspected prior to filling. Confirm that they are new. We do not permit reusing or refilling them. Confirm that the PELs are the correct color for the brand. You will see a color coding chart near the fill area at your branch. Verify that there is no water or moisture on the interior or exterior and that the PEL has no improper coatings. No foreign material, such as dust, should be present. You will document the visual PEL inspection on the scale batch filling log. We know that there is a lot of information that we are sharing today. Never be afraid to ask questions, and remember that all procedures are posted at your branch. Your next step will be hands-on training with a mentor at your location. This concludes DPQA Training Part 1. Please complete the short quiz. Thank you for your time today, and always be safe.